Why the Buffalo Sabres can't escape the NHL's longest playoff drought. The Buffalo Sabres find themselves in a stalemate. For an astonishing 14 consecutive seasons, the Buffalo Sabres have failed to qualify for the NHL playoffs, setting a record that no team wants to hold. As the current season unfolds, it seems unlikely that this trend will change anytime soon. The last time the Sabres graced the postseason was on April 26, 2011, when they suffered a 5-2 defeat against the Philadelphia Flyers. To truly grasp the significance of this moment, consider that both Mike Grier and Daniel Briere, who are now NHL general managers, were players in that game. Additionally, it was the night that NBC launched the popular television show The Voice. Buffalo has been trapped in a seemingly endless cycle of rebuilding, yet they have not been able to gain any real traction. Just a few seasons ago, it appeared that the Sabres were on the cusp of becoming a competitive team. However, a series of ill-fated trades, questionable signings, and unfortunate player development have relegated them to the lower rungs of the Eastern Conference standings. The passionate fans in Buffalo are undoubtedly yearning for a reason to celebrate, but the team has consistently failed to deliver. The unfortunate reality is that many of the Sabres' challenges are self-inflicted. With no significant changes made during the summer, one must ask, when will the Sabres finally turn the tide? It's not as if the Sabres have been devoid of luck in the draft. They have successfully selected some outstanding players in the later rounds, such as Linus Ullmark in the 6th round of 2012, Victor Olofsson in the 7th round of 2014, and Brandon Hagel in the 6th round of 2016. Moreover, they have drafted franchise cornerstones like Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. However, the glaring issue lies in their inability to retain their star players or the tendency to trade them away for minimal returns. A prime example is Sam Reinhart, who was selected 2nd overall in 2014 and scored over 20 goals in 5 of his 6 seasons with the Sabres, including a remarkable 25 goals in his final season during the shortened 2020-21 campaign. In the summer of 2021, the Sabres traded Reinhart to the Florida Panthers, receiving goaltender Devon Levi and a first-round pick that was later used to select Jiri Kulich. While Reinhart had 1 year left on his contract and many speculated he would not sign long-term with Buffalo due to their rebuilding phase, he himself expressed a desire to stay. The trade could still prove beneficial for Buffalo, depending on how Levi develops and how Kulich, now 21, progresses. For Reinhart and the Panthers, however, the partnership has flourished, as they have reached the Stanley Cup Final 3 times and secured 2 championships. While Reinhart was a solid contributor for Buffalo, he has elevated his game in Florida, averaging a point per game. This trend of former Sabres excelling elsewhere is becoming increasingly common. Few would have anticipated that Ullmark would evolve into a Vezina Trophy winner, yet there were indicators that he was more talented than his statistics suggested during his time in Buffalo. Ullmark spent 2 seasons with the Sabres' AHL affiliate in Rochester, where he was among the league's top goaltenders before making the leap to the NHL. Initially, he served as a backup to Carter Hutton, but quickly claimed the starting position, finishing his Sabres career with a record of 50 wins, 47 losses, and 13 overtime losses, along with a 2.78 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. In the summer of 2021, Ullmark signed with the Boston Bruins, where he has thrived, leaving Sabres fans to ponder what could have been. There are likely various personal and professional reasons behind Ullmark's decision to leave Buffalo, but it was evident that the Sabres were shifting towards a rebuild at the time of his exit. Another painful missed opportunity is Brandon Hagel. The Sabres relinquished his rights in 2018, allowing him to sign an entry-level contract with the Chicago Blackhawks before being traded to Tampa Bay for 2 first-round picks. Hagel recently represented Canada at the Four Nations Face-Off and has emerged as a legitimate top 6 player at just 26 years old. This serves as yet another example of the Sabres' ability to draft well, but struggle with player retention. While Hagel's situation differs from that of Reinhart and Ullmark, it underscores the depth of the Sabres' issues. General Manager Kevyn Adams has faced criticism in recent years, and justifiably so, as he is tasked with constructing the roster. However, his tenure includes 3 significant missteps that have overshadowed his entire record as GM. The previously mentioned Reinhart trade could still yield positive results in the future, but the current outlook is grim. The other 2 major blunders were the Jack Eichel trade with the Vegas Golden Knights, which brought in a couple of decent players, but none of Eichel's caliber, and the Brandon Montour trade with Florida, which remains particularly painful. Each of these trades resulted in Buffalo parting ways with their best player, only to watch them win the Stanley Cup with their new teams. Despite these setbacks, not all of Adams' moves have been detrimental. The acquisition of defenseman Byram appears to be a win, especially considering Casey Mittelstadt's decline, and the trade for Ryan McLeod from Edmonton also seems promising. The Sabres have successfully brought in players with potential, yet they have yet to transform into a winning team. The addition of Alex Tuch in the Eichel deal was a heartwarming story, and he has had some productive seasons, but he too could follow the path of many before him and become an unrestricted free agent in less than a year. This brings us to the present-day Sabres, who have recently traded away another promising young player. Just a month ago, they dealt J.J. Peterka to the Utah Mammoth in exchange for forward Josh Doan and defenseman Michael Kesselring. Peterka, who is just 23 years old, had an impressive season last year, scoring 27 goals and providing 41 assists in 77 games. Following the trade, he quickly signed a 5-year extension with the Mammoth, a commitment he was unwilling to make in Buffalo. While it remains to be seen how this trade will pan out, the initial return felt lackluster. There appears to be a troubling trend of players opting not to sign long-term with the Sabres, choosing instead to pursue opportunities in other cities. Nevertheless, the Sabres have managed to secure their core players, Dahlin, Power, and Tage Thompson, with long-term contracts. However, it is concerning that many players seem content to either fulfill their current contracts and leave or leverage their positions to seek trades. While this may not apply to Reinhart or Ullmark, it raises questions about the overall environment within the organization. Thus, the Sabres find themselves once again without a potential star player, adding to a long list of talents who have failed to thrive in Buffalo. Fans have witnessed numerous stars advance to the Stanley Cup final with other teams, while the Sabres have not even sniffed the playoffs. It speaks volumes about the dedication of Sabres fans that they continue to support an organization that has provided little to celebrate over the past 15 years. Buffalo Sabres playoff hopes. A long shot? Why are the Buffalo Sabres, once brimming with hope, now the talk of NHL disappointment? Brace yourself, because the answers might sting loyal fans. But they're questions that need asking if this team wants to break its long-standing playoff drought. Let's start with what looked like good news. The Sabres recently managed to avoid salary arbitration with defenseman Byram, signing him to a 2-year deal at an average annual value of $6.25 million. On the surface, that's a relief, off-ice drama averted, at least for now. However, if you peel back the layers, you'll find an organization in northern New York navigating rocky waters under the stewardship of General Manager Kevyn Adams. But here's where things get truly controversial. Even after securing Byram, it feels like little has changed in Buffalo. Instead of bold moves to upgrade their roster, the Sabres appear poised to run it back next season with almost the exact same lineup, minus J.J. Peterka, who many fans hoped would take on an even bigger role. To many, that's not just uninspiring, it's outright frustrating. On a recent episode of Daily Faceoff Live, hosts Tyler Yaremchuk and Johnny Lazarus took a deep dive into the Sabres' playoff prospects. Yaremchuk candidly admitted that fans had been clinging to the idea that Byram could be leveraged in a trade package to land a bona fide difference-maker, someone who would finally put Buffalo back on the hockey map. Instead, those dreams are on hold, while the team's lack of real progress is painfully obvious. And this is the part most people miss. Lazarus didn't mince words when critiquing the current roster. He argued quite fiercely that Buffalo's lineup ranks as the weakest in the NHL, and that's not just clickbait. If you examine their center depth chart, it's hard to disagree. Yuri Kulich, currently listed as their top-line center on Daily Faceoff, is a promising player, but nowhere near ready to anchor the first line in the NHL. The rest? Josh Norris, plagued with question marks, Ryan McLeod, solid but unspectacular as a third-liner, and Peyton Krebs filling out the fourth line. With such depth, where is this team honestly headed? Here comes a point of controversy that no Sabres supporter can ignore. Is it too harsh to call this management strategy a failure, or is it being too soft to keep hoping for different results each year? Even star talents like Alex Touch and Tage Thompson are facing the same uphill battles, stuck in a cycle of losing seasons. Can anyone blame them for feeling frustrated or even disillusioned? Yaremchuk goes a step further, suggesting that fans aren't even angry anymore, they're numb. The team, he says, should have ramped up the urgency to improve, but instead, it feels as though they've accepted mediocrity. So the million-dollar question remains, without meaningful change, can Buffalo really end its playoff drought this season? Realistically, it seems like a long shot. So let's open the floor. Are the Sabres the most disappointing team in the NHL right now? Or do you see potential that everyone else is missing? Should management have taken bolder action this offseason, or do you believe in sticking with the current core? Jump into the comments. Agree or fiercely disagree, we want to hear your take. The story isn't over, but right now, the Sabres' future looks as uncertain as ever.